Welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus show. I'm Lupagus here with Onebar, and it's time for episode 3 of one of our most popular series we've ever done, The Coaches Connection.
I don't know if that's true, but damn it, they are fun. I love looking at free agents that could possibly follow their coach over to the Minnesota Vikings, especially if they're going to help us, damn it.
Before we talk about today's coach and the connection, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the vids. We are closing in on 6K subscribers. Hopefully we get there maybe by the time free agency starts. Let's shoot for that.
Yeah, we're only about 230 away, so hit that button, subscribe. Let's do this. Who's the coach? Let's talk about the coach.
Today, the coach is Chris Rumpf.
Chris Rumpf, not to be confused by Mike Rumpf, former Philadelphia Eagles cornerback.
Or his son, Curtis, I believe, who was drafted last year. I can't remember who. He's the D-line coach for the Chicago Bears, and, a team like the Vikings who are transitioning to a 3-4, but also going to run some 4-3 fronts. He may have some guys in mind that he played with last year that he'd like to see come to the purple. Yeah,
they got some defensive linemen that are up for free agency, and along with a couple other guys sprinkled in.
Yeah, because again, with these, this isn't always guys we want. Some of these are guys we want. Some of these are guys we just think the Vikings could get because maybe they're could be had for a decent price, and the Vikings don't have a shit ton of money to spend. But let's talk about shit ton of money because this guy is going to cost that. This is the guy. Honest to God, he might be my number one free agent target for the Vikings. It's Akeem Hicks. 2 reasons. Number one, hell of a player. Number 2, I don't ever want to face this guy again.
Yeah, Hicks, 32, still producing at a high level, 5 sacks, good against the run. Now, we know he's good at getting ass after the quarterback and getting ass. But the way I see it, Hicks, doesn't he just seem like the perfect guy that wants to go to a good team and just win a championship?
Yeah, and teams who are in the championship position right now, they're going to want this guy. I think he's going to make a lot of money for his age. But you look at what he's done, 387 career tackles, 40 and a half career sacks. He has been a Vikings destroyer. He is just a mean old bastard. And he's played in a 4-3 and a 3-4. Thinking the 3-4 front, he's going to play end. When we switch to the 4-3, he can move inside. He is a destroyer. He's a disruptor. And he has been just a Viking killer in his career. And he needs to just go far away if he doesn't come to Minnesota.
Yeah, I think 95% of his sacks are actually against the Vikings. Chances of us getting him very, very low. But let's just hope he goes to the AFC somewhere.
Yeah. If he doesn't come here, he needs to go far away. But, could you imagine him in purple? How sweet that would be. Make everybody very, very excited. So, all right, let's move over to the offensive side of the football with a guy, in hindsight, we probably should have drafted him a couple years ago. Some of us wanted him, some of us didn't, but it's their guard center, James Daniels.
I didn't want James Daniels, and I was dead ass wrong. Turns out he's fantastic. He's going to cost a shit ton of money. This is a complete pipe dream. The Vikings would have to I don't know what they'd have to. Rob Brzezinski would go in the Hall of Fame if you figured this one out, but he's so good. He's so damn good.
Yeah, he's played primarily at left guard for the Bears. He played some center as well, 48 career starts, 71 PFF grade last year. So huge upgrade. But again, money's going to be the issue with this guy. If he doesn't come back to Bears, he'll make some bank somewhere else. Interior offensive lineman, very important, very, very key, and they're going to make some money in free agency. And yeah, it's nice to think about now, but in a couple of weeks, he'll have a new team and it probably won't be with the Vikings.
Hey, never say never. We will see. He's so good. He's good.
You mentioned it a couple times. Let's go to one. This isn't super sexy, but again, the Vikings don't have a lot of money to spend. They may be looking for some familiar faces. Chris Rumpf may want to look at this veteran linebacker, Christian Jones. This guy's probably on his last contract, but he's played inside linebacker majority of his career, 463 tackles. You put this guy next to Eric Kendricks in the middle. Yeah, he's old, but he's going to be an upgrade over anybody else who's on the Vikings roster right now.
I would much rather have Blake Lynch next to Eric Kendricks. Jones, when you look at him, like you said, he's old. Ogletree came into the Bears last year. He actually ended up starting over him, and Ogletree is horrible. So uninterested. I looked him up because I really don't know a ton about him anyways. And the first articles I'm seeing is Chicago Bears fans saying how much they do not want this guy back. So again, that's usually a pretty good sign.
Yeah. But, these guys are going to have players they're familiar with, players who know their system. And Christian Jones, he could be someone the coaches like and want to bring over. Again, not one that gets my parts tingling, but we got to throw some options on there.
If Mike Rumpf brings Christian Jones over, I am off the Mike Rumpf bandwagon immediately.
No hump for Rumpf if that happens.
No hump for Rumpf.
All right, let's go to a safety. And there's a couple Bears free agents safeties, but I think this guy's probably the best that we could get from them. It's Deandre Houston Carson. That is a mouthful. Onebar, what do you know about Deandre Houston Carson?
Well, I didn't know. Again, he was a guy that seems very under the radar. He's been with the Bears since 2016. Finally got a chance to start a couple games this year, but actually did prove himself. He has been a special teams ace, and he is one of those guys that gave you just a little bit enough this year where someone's going to actually give him some money to possibly start.
Yeah, he had his best season last year with 51 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 pass breakups. He had an interception, started 3 games. He's only 28 years old, so he's still got a lot of good football in front of him. So Deandre Houston Carson, I think he's like 6'1", so he's got some good size too. But a guy, I mean, he'll make a little bit of money. You know, he had his best year at the right time, so not out of the reach, I don't think, financially.
No,
I mean, I think you put this guy back there. It depends what happens with Harrison Smith, because obviously you're going to want to. I think Cam Bynum has to start at this point. You want to see what he can do. A young guy who showed some potential. If Harrison Smith goes, then maybe this is the veteran you bring in, a guy who's familiar with Chris Rumpf.
Yeah, special teams ace as well. But the Bears are going to be losing a couple safeties, so I can see the Bears throwing some money at him.
Yeah, he might be the one they want to bring back. All right, let's go with the last guy on our list. Another big, mean, nasty defensive lineman who probably, I don't know, he probably showered with Chris Rumpf after a game a couple times. Nichols.
Nichols, 49 games started, 4 sacks last year. I think this is a guy that has overpaid written all over him this year. I think he will make quite a bit of money. And honestly, when it comes to defensive tackles, I'm starting to really convince myself that they're just going to roll with what they have. I think as much as Pierce were saying, you should go, Tomlinson, go. I don't know. The more I think of that 3-4, we might already have our defensive line.
Well, and he said they're going to switch between 3-4, 4-3. Dontel said that after he thanked the reporter for his question, which he did for everybody, which I thought was just great.
All the new coaches, they are always saying, great question. I appreciate that question. They're also polite.
But Ed Dontel, like, it really came from his heart. Like, he probably went home and just thought about how good those questions were.
We'll see if they're still thanking them for their questions in week 5.
Yeah, but here's what Nichols, he's still a guy whose best football could still be ahead of him. He's only 25 years old, and I love just how physical he is. We've seen it against the Vikings. He's just plowed through some of our guys right into Kirk Cousins. Not very kind, not very nice. So I think there's a lot of upside with Nichols. Again, with him only being 25 years old, he may cost a little too much, but I would be very excited if we were able to land this dude.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I would like him. I think a team is really going to pay for this dude. Young, producing,
so young. What was he, like,
ready to go?
18 when he got in the league, 25 years old. Seems like he's been around forever.
Yeah, I know. He does seem like he's been around forever.
So that is the coaches connection when it comes to the Bears. You guys got anybody else you think we should go after? The Vikings might go after. Drop them in the comments. Yeah, and I think we got at least one more of these episodes coming up. Maybe we'll find a couple more because again, very popular series that we've been doing here.
Coaches connection. Jermaine Ifedi. The offensive lineman, got to mention him. He is a free agent, but he's been a free agent a handful of times, and the Vikings just really seem to not show much interest in this guy. But average starting guard, average tackle would be interesting. I would be all for him if we signed him to be guard. But
how old is that dude?
27. He's another guy. It seems like he's been in the league since 1994.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. All right, so that's it. Again, let us know what you think in the comments. Anybody else you want to see come to the purple from the hated Chicago Bears. And until then, remember this, Sharks don't have bones.